29J, sorry, I've got this slightly muddled up. He was de or nanda. He was thinking about about many things for concerning. So he thought over a lot, multa, about ornanda and instruenda urbe, about decorating and building up the city. Obviously, very good practice this for the gerundive. He was thinking over much about the city being decorated and being built up. Make that gerundive and make it active. Sounds better. In primis, particularly the building, particularly of building a temple of Mars, and a theatre of the greatest size under the Tarpeian Hill. So, particularly to build up a temple of Mars and the theatre of the greatest size under the Tarpeian Hill. He had it in mind also these things, or he also had these things in mind. We'll go redigere jus civile, to reduce the civil law to a certain mode. Redigere, to reduce the civile jus, the civil law, to a certain amount. And to confere, and to bring those that were, and to bring those things that were best from a huge amount of books into the fewest books, and to bring the and atque, to confere, to bring the best of, and to bring, to gather the best of the laws that were best from the huge resources of laws, all right, and to gather the best from a huge amount of laws into the fewest books. He and to instituere, and to build up libraries, to build Greek and Latin libraries, Graecas and Latinas, bibliotecas, libraries, as greatly as he was able. The biggest Greek and Latin libraries that he was able. Sicare, to drain the Pomptine marshes, to emittere fucinam lacum, to dry up the Pomptine marshes, to drain the Fucine lake, to build up a road, munere viam, from the mare supero, from the sea along the back of the Aventine. So again, we've got that bit there. Let's see. I'm just looking now to see. We've got that to build up the sea from the. I'm just looking at this bit to see what it's saying there. Yeah, from the upper sea, it's saying there. Yeah, yeah, and to build a path from the upper sea through the from the upper sea along the back of the Apennine to the Tiber, through the back of the Apennine to the Tiber. Perfodere, to link the and then, sorry, what did we say? To dig a perfodere, to dig the canal at the perfodere there. What do I want to say? To dig through the Isthmus Corinthium, the Corinthian Isthmus, and then finally to coercere, to restrain, to suppress the Dacians who had poured forth, qui se, who had poured out into the east and into Thrace. Mox, soon to bring war upon the Parthians through Armenia. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the second Caesar passage, following on from 29. I can't remember where we got to H. I think Gaius Julius Caesar. After the civil wars had finished, we've got an adjective absolute there. Starting us off, bellis, civibus, confectis, conversus. Having now turned, conversus, perfect participle. Having now turned to administrating the republic. Remember, we said we'll make gerundives will sound better when we make them actually active. So rather than saying having turned now to the Republic being administrated, we'll say having now turned to managing the Republic, he correxit, he corrected the calendar, fastos correxit, and he accommodated the year towards the course of the sun. He filled the Senate, senatum supplevit, comitis, cum populo divisis, and with the and then we would say with the elections. He filled the Senate with the assemblies, rather, with the meetings, with the assemblies, we'll say, with the assemblies divided with the people, divided by the people, cum populo, and with the assemblies divided with the people, he sibi sumsit, he took it upon himself to the right, or he took upon himself the right of nominating half of the candidates. So he took on for himself jus the right of nominating half, literally of dimidia partis, of half the amount of candidates being nominated, of nominating half the number of candidates. Eos qui ligi, he restored those who had been condemned by the law of Pompey for bribery. So he restored eos those who damnati erant had been condemned by the law of Pompey for bribery, and he allowed towards the cursus honorum even the children of proscripted people. Omnes medicinem he donavit, he granted citizenship, so he gave citizen, he gifted with citizenship, he granted citizenship all professos trained in medicine, medicinam at Rome, and those learned of the liberal arts, those educated in the liberal arts. Jus laboriosissime, he pronounced very strict and very, what do we want to say? He carried out the laws very effortfully and very strictly. Dere pundis damnatos. He even moved those condemned of extortion he also, etiam rather, moved those damnatos condemned per participle for extortion from the Senate. Peregrinam, he instituted a port tax on foreign merchandise. He instituted a port tax of foreign merchandise. Legem praecipue, he especially practiced the law against excess, against extravagance. He having put guards around the maculum, around the marketplace, to purpose clause with the relative pronoun, to retinerent, to retain, to keep back foreign foods. Next bit. Death praevenet, prevented him from doing these things. So we'll start off with that bit. Death prevented him from doing and thinking over such things. For, having been made a dictator for life, he began to agere insolentius. He began to act more thoughtlessly. He excepit senatum. He received the Senate coming to him while sitting in a certain So here he received the Senate coming to him sedens while sitting, and he looked back at a certain person advising him to rise, and he looked back quendam at a certain person monentem, urging him to get up with an angry expression. When Antony, comrade of Caesar in all of his wars, and then a colleague in his consulship, so when Antony, a comrade of Caesar in all of his wars, and a colleague in his consulship, had put a crown on his head, and Posuiset had put a crown on the head of him sitting on his golden seat, while sitting on a golden seat in front of the rostrum, a sign of regal power, insigne, a sign of royal power, id ita it was rejected in such a way by him, ita id ab eo est repulsum, it was rejected by him in such a way that it seemed not to be offensive. Quare amplius sexaginta viri. For these reasons, more than 60 men, with Cassius and Brutus leaders, conjuraverunt, made a conspiracy against him and decided to kill him in the Senate on the Eye of March. Quamquam, although the signs were frightening him, although signs were frightening him, and haruspex Sporina was warning him to beware of the danger, because and the haruspex was warning the danger which would not carry on beyond the Ides of March. Although, so indirect command there, cabaret, although the haruspex Sporina was warning him that he should fear the danger which would not be carried forth past the Ides of March, he, however, decided to hold the Senate on that day. While he entered the Curia, the Senate house, he smiled at Sporina because, without any doubt, he smiled because the Ides of March were present, without any harm, because the Idus Martiae, because the Ides of March were there without any harm. Indeed, they have come, said Sporina, but they have not passed. The conspirators, circumstaterunt, stood around Caesar while he was sitting down, on the pretext specie offici, of duty. Then one, as if about to ask him something, came nearer, and when Caesar renueret, and when Caesar disapproved, he grabbed him. He grabbed his toga on each shoulder, while Caesar shouted, "Indeed, that is violence." Casca wounded him. I'm just moving on to the next bit, a little bit below the neck. Casca wounded him from the opposite side, a little below the neck. Caesar, having grabbed the arm of Casca, struck it, pierced it with his, with his pen, with a stylus, and Conatus, having tried to jump forward, he tardatus est, he was slowed down by another wound. Then, when he realized that he was being attacked on all sides by drawn daggers, by strictis pugionibus, he obvolvit, he covered his head with his toga, and he was struck 23 times by attacks. He was struck by 23 attacks. He was pierced with 23 strikes, something like that. Cum Marcum, when he had seen Marcus Brutus, whom he thought of as place of his son, when he had seen him running upon him, he is said to have said, "You also, my son." Percussorum autem. However, no one of the assassins, none of the assassins survived more than 3 years. All, having been condemned by various misfortunes, died, some in a sea wreck, some in battle, some some in battle, several killed themselves, seme as an alternative just form of say, several killed themselves by that same dagger which they had struck Caesar. Moderation, make that your subject, moderatio, moderation, which is rarer in kings and in chiefs than in moderation, which is rarer in kings and leading men, should be praised more. Must be praised more in him. Moderation, which is rarer in kings and chiefs, which is rarer in kings and in chiefs, and in leading citizens, should be praised more here. Caesar, usus est, used, remember the object of utord goes in the ablative, used his victory in the civil war most mercifully. For when he had captured the cases of letters that had been written, misarum, past participle in the genitive, to Pompeius, he refused to read. So when he had seized cases of letters that were sent to Pompey by those who seemed to be either, by those, qui videbantur, deponent verb, who seemed to be either in the opposite or in neutral factions. So when he had captured the cases of letters sent to Pompeius from those who seemed to be in opposite or in neutral factions, he refused to read them, but he burnt them, lest by chance they should give him a place for considering more gravely. It says, lest by chance they would give the opportunity of thinking more harshly against many men. Cicero gave this eximiam, this outstanding praise to Caesar. Quod, that he was accustomed, soleret, that he was accustomed to forget nothing except his own injuries. Very well done, everyone. I'm just saving this and then I will upload it.